Alright, so 9.3 is just solving more equations. It's basically the same thing we've been doing in 9.1 and 9.2. Okay, so just like we've done before, draw my line there. I'm going to write this as a negative 4y plus 10. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. Here's my equal sign. There's my negative 6y minus 2. Okay, I need to move the smaller y to the bigger y, so the negative 6y is smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and add 6y here, and add 6y over here. Okay, so if I look on this side, that's going to leave me with a 2y plus 10 equals, those will cancel, negative 2. We're almost done, so let's go ahead and minus 10 and minus 10. Leaves me with 2y is equal to negative 12. So now we can go ahead and just divide both sides by 2 and come up with y is equal to negative 6. Great. Okay, let's try the next one here. So I have 15x minus 8 equals 10 plus 9x. Okay, so just like we've done before, go ahead and draw my line going down. I'm going to move my smaller x, so I'll go minus 9x and minus 9x. Okay, so 15x minus 9x is a 6x minus 8 equals 10. So now if I have 6x minus 8 equals 10, I need to add 8 on both sides. That's going to leave me with a 6x is equal to 18. And when we divide both sides by 6, we should come up with x is equal to 3. Okay, so my next problem here, again, I'm going to go ahead and distribute my 2. Oops, get my pen back, okay. So that's going to give me a negative 6x plus 8 equals 2x. There's my line. Let me go ahead and add 6x to both sides. So those will cancel. We now have 8 equals 8x. So when I finally divide both sides by the number 8, 8 divided by 8 is just 1 is equal to x. Perfect. All right. So in this next problem that I have here, again, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line coming down. I'll distribute my 5. So 10x minus 5 minus 6x equals 1. We can go ahead and combine our like terms. 10x minus 6x is a 4x minus 5 equals 1. So if I have 4x minus 5 is equal to 1 and I add 5 to both sides, I now have 4x is equal to 6. And when I divide both sides by the number 4, I'm going to come up with, I can reduce this fraction, 3 over 2. All right, so for my next problem here, again, we'll distribute. Let me draw my arrow. So that's a negative 6x plus 18 minus 26 equals negative 8. We can combine these together, give me a negative 6x. Positive 18 minus 26 is a negative 8 equals negative 8. When I add 8 to both sides, I'm now going to have negative 6x equals 0. And so if we have negative 6x equals 0 and we divide both sides by negative 6, then we just end up with x is equal to 0. All right, so in my next problem here, again, I'll go ahead and draw my line going down. I'm going to distribute my negative 2, so my 8 stays alone. That's a negative 2a minus 2 equals 9 plus a. We can combine 8 minus 2 to give us a negative 2a plus 6 equals 9 plus a. So if I have negative 2a plus 6 equals 9 plus a. And if I add 2a to both sides, that leaves me with 6 equals 9 plus 3a. If I minus 9 on both sides, that leaves me with negative 3 equals 3a. And when I finally divide both sides by 3, I should come up with negative 1 is equal to a. All right, so for my next problem here, I'll draw my line. Draw my line. Let me get my pen. Draw my line coming back down. I'll leave this side alone, so that's 4x plus 3 equals, I'll combine these two together. That's 2x plus 11. I'm going to go ahead and move my smaller x to my bigger x, so I'll minus 2x here and minus 2x there. Oops. That's going to leave me with 2x plus 3 is equal to 11. We can go ahead and subtract 3 on both sides. So we have 2x is equal to 8. And when we finally divide both sides by 2, I come up with x is equal to 4. Okay, so for our next problem here, again, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line down going this way. Oops. I'll move my smaller y to my bigger y, so I'm going to add 2y and add 2y. So that's negative 10 equals 7y plus 18. We'll go ahead and minus 18 on both sides. So minus 10 equals 7y plus 18. We said we're going to minus 18. Those cancel. So we have a negative 28 is equal to 7y. So when I finally divide both sides by 7, we should come up with negative 4 is equal to y. Okay, so for my next problem here, the first thing I want to do is I want to look at each of the denominators that I have. And I notice that number one, my common denominator is going to be 3. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to write down my problem, which is 2/3 x plus 4 over 3 equals negative 2 over 3. I'm going to put that in these brackets here, and I'm going to multiply everything by my common denominator, which is 3 over 1. So my first step is to find the common denominator. It's 3. Then I'm going to multiply everything by that number 3, but I'm going to write it as a fraction since I'm dealing with fractions. And I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3 times. So as I go this way, 3 times 2 is going to give me a 6 with an x, plus 3 times 4 is going to give me a 12, equals 3 times negative 2 is going to give me a negative 6. Now I need to do the bottom parts, but since the bottom parts are all getting multiplied by 1, the bottom parts are all going to stay the same. My next step here is I can simplify these fractions. So that's going to leave me with a 2x plus 4 equals negative 2. I can go ahead and subtract 4 on both sides, minus 4 on both sides. So that leaves me with 2x equals negative 6. And when I finally divide both sides by 2, I'm going to get x equals negative 3. Okay, so for my next problem, again, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to think of this 1 as 1 over 1. And between 4, 2, and 1, my common denominator is going to be the number 4. So I'm going to multiply everything here by 4 over 1. That's going to give me a 12 with an x minus 4 equals 4. My bottom numbers are all getting multiplied by 1, so those bottom numbers aren't going to change. And now I'm going to go ahead and simplify. 12x divided by 4 is 3x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 4 divided by 1 is 4. When I add 2 to both sides, I come up with 3x is equal to 6. And finally, dividing both sides by 3, we come up with x is equal to 2. Okay, so in my next problem here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to reduce this first. I know I can reduce that 2 and that 4. I can divide them both by 2. So 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 4 2 times. And then I'm going to think about sort of what I call separating the fraction. If you notice, the 2 is on both parts. So I'm going to think of this as x over 2 plus 1 over 2 equals 3x minus 2. And I'm going to think of each of those denominators there as 1. Now I can look at each of my fractions, and I can say, okay, well, the denominator here, my common denominator between 2 and 1 would be 2. So let me go ahead and multiply everything here by 2 over 1. I'll go once, twice, 3, 4 times. So let's go slow. So 2 times x is just 2x. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3x is a 6x. 2 times a negative 2, a minus 4. Now remember, my bottom numbers are all getting multiplied by 1, so my bottom numbers are going to stay the same as what we had before. That's 2, that's 2, that's 1, and that's 1. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to simplify my fractions. Those 2's are going to cancel, so I'll write my part over here and have an x. 2 divided by 2 is 1, equals 6x minus 4. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move my smaller x to my bigger x, so minus x here and minus x there. So I have 1 equals 5x minus 4. I'll go ahead and add 4 to both sides. And so 5 equals 5x. And finally, when I divide both sides by 5, I'm coming up with x is equal to 1. All right. So my next problem here, x plus 7 over 6 equals 2x minus 7 over 6. Again, I'm going to think of my x as x over 1 and 2x over 1, excuse me. And so now I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by my common denominator, which is going to be 6. So 6 over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to leave me with a 6x. Plus 6 times 7 is 42, equals 6 times 2x is 12x, minus 42. Again, since I'm multiplying my denominators by 1, those denominators stay the same. Now, if I did this right, all my fractions are going to go away. So I'm going to end up with 6x plus 7 equals 12x minus 7. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm going to move my smaller x to my bigger x. So if I have 6x plus 7 equals 12x minus 7, I'll go ahead and minus 6x on both sides. That's going to leave me 7 equals 6x minus 7. If I add 7 to both sides, that's going to leave me with 14 equals 6x. So when I finally divide both sides by 6, I can simplify my fraction. 14 over 6, I can divide them both by 2, and that'll give me 7 over 3 is equal to x. All right, let's try the next problem. Let's go ahead and draw a line coming down. Oops, coming down. I'll distribute my 4. So that's 12x plus 8 equals 12x plus 8. Okay, if I move my smaller x to my bigger x, if I go minus 12x here and minus 12x here, notice they're both the same size, I'm going to end up with 8 is equal to 8. There's no more x's for me to solve here. Okay, so when something like this happens, what we say is the solution is going to be all real numbers. Now that happens when all my x's cancel out and end up with something that's true, like 8 equals 8. Okay, so if I get 8 equals 8, 2 equals 2, negative 7 equals negative 7, and I don't have any more x's, then my answer is going to be all real numbers. Let's try the next problem here. If I do the same thing, if I draw my line and distribute my 3, I have 3x minus 7 equals 3x plus 3. If I minus 3x on both sides, I want you to notice now I have negative 7 is equal to 3 because my 3x's cancel. Now that isn't true. So if all my x's cancel out and end up with something that's not true, what we say here is that there is no solution. Alright, so in my next problem, I'll go ahead and draw my line coming down this way. Let's distribute our negative 2. That is a negative 12x plus 10 plus 4. And there's another negative 12x plus 14. So if I combine these two together, that's another negative 12x plus 14. Here's another negative 12x plus 14. If I add 12x to both sides, then I end up with 14 equals 14. Again, all my x's canceled out. I end up with something that's true. So my answer here is all real numbers. All right, let's try the one underneath that. Okay, so I'll draw my line coming down this way. Oops, let me get my pen again. Draw my line, distribute. So that is a negative 6t, a plus 15 plus 2t equals 5t minus 4. Combining my negative 6t and my 2t, I have a negative 4t plus 15 equals 5t minus 4. I'm going to go ahead and add 4t to both sides. So I'm going to be left with 15 equals 9t minus 4. When I add 4 to both sides, I end up with 19 equals 9t, and then divide both sides by 9. I can't simplify that fraction, so my answer is just 19 over 9. Okay, so in my next problem here, again, you can see these equations are getting a little bit longer, more extensive. So let me draw my line. Let's keep our 5y alone for right now. Let's go ahead and distribute our 2. So that's going to give us a 2y minus 12. Let's distribute our 4. 4y plus 4 minus 2. We can combine like terms here. That's going to give me a 7y minus 12. Over here I'll have a 4y plus 2. My smaller y is the 4y, so if I minus 4y on both sides, I'm now going to end up with a, let's use a different color pen. We'll have a 3y minus 12 is equal to 2. So when we add 12 to both sides, we now have 3y equals 14. And if we divide both sides by 3, we just get 14 over 3. Good. Okay, so my next problem here, again, I'll draw my line coming straight down here. I'll leave my 5x minus 5 alone. We'll distribute our 2. So that's 2x plus 2 plus 3x minus 7. Okay, we'll worry about combining like terms. So I have 5x minus 5. Over here, 2x plus 3x is another 5x. A plus 2 and a minus 7 is a minus 5. If I go ahead and subtract 5x on both sides, I'm left with a negative 5 equals another negative 5. Again, all my variables cancel out, but I get something that makes sense, like negative 5 equals negative 5. So again, my answer is all real numbers. All right, let's take a look at this next problem here. Let me get my pen. I'm going to think of that as x over 1. The first thing I notice is between 1 and 4, my common denominator is going to be 4 over 1. I'll multiply everything here by 4. So that's going to give me 4x plus 4 times 5 is 20. equals 4 times 3 is 12 with an x. Again, the bottom numbers are all getting multiplied by 1, so that stays a 1, that stays a 4, and that stays a 4. We can simplify our fractions, so we're now going to have 4x plus 5 is equal to 3x. Move my smaller x over, so minus 3x and minus 3x. So that gives me x plus 5 is equal to 0. So when I finally minus 5 on both sides, I'm coming up with x is equal to negative 5. All right. For my next problem here, x over 2 minus 1 equals x over 5 plus 2. Again, I'm going to think of this here, oops, get rid of that, okay, as being 1 and that there being 1. And I'm going to look at my denominators. Between 2, 1, and 5, my common denominator should be a 10. So I'm going to multiply everything by 10 over 1 once, twice, 3, 4 times. Now I'm going to go slow here. So 10x minus 10 equals 10x plus 20. Remember, my bottom numbers don't change. That stays a 2, that stays a 1, that stays a 5, that stays a 1. We're going to simplify. 10 divided by 2, 5x, minus 10. 10x divided by 5, 2x, plus 20. Okay, so now let's solve this problem. Let me go ahead and say let's minus 2x here and minus 2x here. That leaves me with 3x minus 10 equals 20. Add 10 to both sides. So I now have 3x is equal to 30. And finally divide both sides by 3, and I'm coming up with x is equal to 10. All right, so for my next problem here, what I have is 2 parentheses x plus 3 minus 5 equals 5x minus 3, and then parentheses 1 plus x. Let's go ahead and draw our line coming down, and let's distribute our numbers. So that's 2x plus 6 minus 5. That's 5x. We're distributing negative 3. So that's a negative 3 minus 3x. We'll go ahead and combine like terms. So that's going to give me 2x plus 1. And let's see, 5x minus 3x is 2x minus 3. I'm going to go ahead here and subtract 2x from both sides. Those are going to cancel. And now what I'll be left with is 1 is equal to negative 3. Well, we know that's not true. So remember, if all my x's cancel and I get something that isn't true, then my answer is no solution. All right, so here's our last problem. Again, I want to think of every term as a fraction, so I'm going to think of this 1 here. Let me get my pen. I'm going to think of this 1 here as 1 over 1. And I'm going to notice between 4, 1, 2, 12, and 6, I need to find my common denominator. My common denominator here between those numbers should be 12. So let's go ahead and multiply everything by 12 over 1 and see what we can do. Okay, so 12 times 3, I'm going to write that over here. That's going to be 36x minus 12 plus 12 with an x equals 12 times 5 is 60 with an x plus 12. Now again, if you remember, my bottom numbers stay the same. So that's still a 4, that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 12, and that's a 6. And I go ahead and start reducing my fractions. 36 divided by 4 is 9x. Minus 12 over 1 is still 12. 12 over 2 is a 6. There's an x with it. Equals 12 goes into 60 5 times with an x. And 6 goes into 12 2 times. Okay, now we'll go ahead and worry about combining like terms. So 9x plus 6x is going to give me a 15x minus 12 equals 5x plus 2. Oops, plus 2. Plus 2. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5x on both sides. Minus 5x and minus 5x. So that's going to leave me with a, what do we have? 10x minus 12 equals 2. I will add 12 to both sides. So now I'm going to have 10x equals 14. And when I finally divide both sides by 10, I can reduce that fraction, divide them both by 2, 7 over 5. And there's my final answer.